Moving on to question 41 in the name of Paul Murphy.
Thanks a lot, Cahirlock. Hopefully the Minister will agree that what's been revealed by WRC decision and very good work, including at their own expense of getting FOIs of Atheist Ireland, has exposed the unfortunate reality that ETB schools, definitely in Tipperary, but it appears elsewhere, are acting with a de facto Catholic ethos despite being state schools. I'd ask the Minister, will he clarify the position, and will he issue an instruction to make fully clear that these are state schools and there should be no religious ethos whatsoever?
Minister.
Yeah, no, thanks, Deputy Murphy, for raising this and giving an opportunity to clarify the situation. My department is preparing a circular that will provide guidance to ETB post-primary schools on the arrangements that should apply in future for students who wish to opt out of religious instruction or worship. The schools to which the Deputy refers are multi-denominational schools and as such are required to provide for religious instruction according to the profile of the students who attend the school. It may have been reasonable when the schools were established for a school to assume that its pupil population was predominantly Catholic and to make arrangements for religious instruction and worship exclusively on that basis. Historically, some ETB schools also made provision for religious instruction required for pupils from local Protestant communities. Depending on their future pupil composition as multi-denominational schools, ETB second-level schools may have to make provision for religious instruction for those from other minority religions should it be required. It is important that schools consult with parents and, in the case of pupils who have reached the age of 18, the pupil, to find out what their wishes are in respect of participating in religious instruction and worship. This practice should also apply to the parents of pupils already enrolled in the school and not just those seeking admission for the first time. Schools engaging with parents or pupils, where appropriate, must at the outset of the school year clearly indicate what arrangements are in place for those who choose not to participate in religious instruction. The outcome of this engagement should be integrated with the school's processes for establishing subject choices generally. Instead of waiting for a parent to request a withdrawal and then having to make alternative arrangements for the pupil for the class periods concerned, pupils who do not choose religious instruction should be timetabled by the school for alternative subjects. Societal change with a decrease in religious belief and practice requires a change in school practice, and the circular will address how those who wish to withdraw must be catered for in future. I expect the circular to issue later this year and will also apply to community schools in all of which ETBs are co-patrons.
1 minute, Deputy Murphy.
Thanks. I'd say back to the Minister that an opt-out is not enough, and guidelines on an opt-out is not enough, because this is a question of what ethos schools have. The CEO of the ETB in Tipperary told ETB school principals that, quote, "The Christian belief, ethos and spirit of our schools is Catholic, and this needs to be addressed in all policies," and she recently stood over that claim. The Minister needs to respond to that and clarify if that's not the case. Similarly, I have a copy of the religious education policy of the Central Technical Institute, which is similarly an ETB school, and in it it states the ethos is, quote, "Christian and Irish," and, quote, "Our school community is a part of the wider community, primarily composed of Roman Catholics. The majority of our students are Roman Catholic, and the ethos of the school reflects this. Quote, "Faith formation is governed by the majority religion, 90% of the students being Roman Catholic." It's fair enough if you have religious education, but then it cannot be faith formation. You can't have compulsory religious education that in reality is about Catholic faith formation.
Minister first. Okay.
Yeah, I think the first point to make is that not only this statement which you're quoting was made in 2015, and it was made very clear at the time by the then Secretary General that this did not accord with policy. And I have clarified in my own statement, not only here but on a previous occasion, that that is inaccurate. That the schools to which the Deputy refers are multi-denominational schools, and there will be a circular to make that absolutely crystal clear. That, of course, doesn't mean that they're non-denominational. They will accept people of religious belief, of different faiths and of none. And the point I'm making in my reply is that they must plan for the wishes of those parents and our pupils to ensure that their timetable reflects the wishes of those pupils. And that's the approach to the multi-denominational provision we're making. We're not multi-denominational does not mean that those of Christian faith are not welcome within the school. They're absolutely welcome, but also are those of other faiths and of none. And the imperative is to accommodate all of them.
Just to clarify, because a non-denominational school would not be a school that refuses to accept religious students, but it's a school that doesn't have a religious ethos, to which all people are welcome, which could include religious education, but that wouldn't have the character of faith formation. Does the Minister agree that there's a problem that a Roman Catholic diocesan advisor was assigned that particular school's religious education policy and has been involved in decisions in relation to the school? The point I'd make in terms of the opt-out is that, firstly, does the Minister agree that religious education, it cannot be faith formative? It shouldn't be faith formation in these schools. Religious education, talking about religions, different religions, etc., that's fine, but in state schools, to be involving faith formation is wrong, and an opt-out won't deal with it. And then when it comes to the opt-out, that it has to be a non-coercive opt-out. It isn't an opt-out that effectively punishes the students, just put them to the back of the class, not allow them to do any other work. Effectively, that they're just sitting there listening to the lesson. They have to have a real, meaningful alternative.
Minister, final.
Well, I think the Deputy will know that there is a debate, obviously, within the ETBs as to whether faith formation should occur within the school or not. And recently, the ETB group have indicated that they would move to a position where faith formation would not be within the hours of school. But of course, the ETB schools at primary level, the community national schools, they welcome all faiths and celebrate all faiths. So it isn't that they leave religion at the gate, at the school gate, and don't wish to keep it there. They celebrate all faith. But I think the trend is clearly that faith formation would, over time, move out of the school. And I think that has been indicated by the ETBs as the direction. But obviously, they have to, if you like, complete their consideration of this issue. But that is an approach that I would favour.
Thank you, Minister.